All right, so I've been feeling a little off over the past couple of days ever since the Air 3 came out. Typically, I post my review video, but right after that, I've got my very first flight video that goes live. I usually come to this parking garage here, fly a drone for the very first time as soon as it comes out to get a feel for what the drone offers, right? To kind of formulate my first opinion so I can get a sense of how the aircraft performs, what the camera looks like, how the image transmission system holds up, and coming to a familiar spot each and every time kind of gives me a way to benchmark how that drone flies. But when I first got the Air 3, I immediately left to go to Nova Scotia. Like, the package got delivered, I left that same day and didn't get a chance to come here to do my first flight. And I couldn't not fly the Air 3 while I was up there. In fact, I did my unboxing video while I was inside of the car. Also, this video is sponsored by Aura, but a little bit more from them later. Now, don't worry, I have that video in the works. I was able to capture some incredible footage up there in Nova Scotia with the Air 3, the Mavic 3 Pro, and the Inspire 3. So I brought all of the drones with me and kind of rotated between which drones I wanted to use in different areas. So that's going to be an awesome vlog that, again, I cannot wait to share here on the channel. But for now, in today's video, we'll be doing a full flight with the Air 3 so that I can share my opinions with you about this drone while doing a full flight. Now, I have already done my full in-depth review. I'm going to leave that linked up in the top corner and down in the description. I've also done some other videos on the Air 3 about like the new remotes as well as a range test. So I've got a playlist linked down there as well to all of the previous videos I've already uploaded with the Air 3. But again, in today's video, we'll be taking a full flight with the Air 3. So the first thing I want to point out is that the drone sounds a little bit raspy. I'm not sure if you guys can hear it. It's definitely quiet, but when you're moving, you kind of have this raspy undertone with it. All right, let's shoot up. We're in sport mode, and we'll go ahead and fly down to the bridge like always. Now, I kind of want to break this video up into two different parts. The first is going to be about the aircraft, and then the second is going to be about the camera. And the reason I really want to harp on the aircraft here is because there's so much that has changed. And even though this is such a small drone and it slots in as DJI's mid-tier drone, it has a lot of power. Like right now, I'm ripping down the river at 47 miles an hour. So that means that this drone is just as fast as the Mavic 3 series, the Mavic 3 Classic, the Mavic 3 Pro, the regular Mavic 3, the Mavic 3 Cine. This drone is just as fast, but it's actually faster when you account for its vertical speed, so going up and down as well. Now, even though we've already done a range test, I do just want to point out that as we fly down to the bridge here, the signal is perfect, right? I mean, we're about 3,000 feet away right now, and when I'm flying, I usually never fly further away than this. I'm always keeping the drone about a half a mile away from me, just so that I can maintain a good connection and also so that I don't feel like I'm overextending myself. And right now, being 3,000 feet away, I've got absolutely no breakup in the signal. Like, we can go and pan the camera up and down. You can look at those cars. There's no lag. There's no breakup. We've still got 5 strong bars. So 04 is super strong. Remember, inside of the RC2, we've got 4 antennas, and inside of the Air 3, we've got 6 antennas, right? So there's a lot of bandwidth going back and forth here between the controller and the drone, giving you a nice, strong signal. Now let's spin this drone around, right? And right now we're at about 140 feet. Let's go ahead, we'll start tearing back up the river. We will fly, get up to our max speed here of 47 miles an hour. Hopefully, we might be facing a little bit of a headwind. So we'll get to our max speed here, which is about 43, 44. It'll maybe push up to about 47 miles an hour. Now from here, let's go ahead and increase our altitude up. So we'll go ahead, push straight forwards and straight up. Notice that the speed maintains fast moving forwards at 40 miles an hour, and we can climb at 18 miles an hour. Like, look at how fast I can get all the way up to 400 feet, right? Like, that is insane how fast the drone flies up. So if you were, say, trying to chase a moving subject up a hill or, say, up a mountain, you could do some serious work getting this drone forwards and up. So the drone does a great job at that. Now, in my opinion, my favorite part is the fact that I can now fly forwards at a top speed and dive down at 22 miles an hour. So right now we are almost going down faster than we can go forwards. Like, the drone flies downwards insanely fast. There's so much power here inside of the Air 3. And again, that is faster than the Mavic 3 series, the Mini 3 series. As far as I'm aware from DJI, this is the fastest consumer foldable drone that they've made, with really the only faster drone being like the Inspire 3, for example. So it's just insane how quick and how agile this drone is. I mean, I know that we had a train passing by here, which seems to have stopped, but just in terms of its movements and just in terms of flying around, now that I've dialed in the controls, everything feels so fluid and so snappy. Like, I could go and shoot the drone straight up and the drone flies so high up. Like if I wanted to do a reveal of that building up and around, you've got so much power to punch up and away. And the same thing is true. Like if I say had a kayaker or a jet ski going up and down the river, I could quickly go fly the drone forwards and dive down towards them. Like right now, I'm not even going the full maximum speed because I almost think it would be too fast, but you can see how quickly you can get down and around that tree and then quickly recover, fly the drone up, and it's super snappy. So the aircraft is great in that regard. Also, I should mention that this drone does have omnidirectional obstacle avoidance. The way that you are going to be able to take advantage of having that maximum speed going up and down is with sport mode. But if you were in normal mode, you're now protected from all sides with true omnidirectional obstacle avoidance. So no matter which way you fly this drone, the drone is going to look out for obstacles. So for example, let's say I go and fly down near this tree here, right? Again, we're in the normal mode right now. So we have all those sensors turned on. In the top right, you can see it has those white bars or the white circle that's illuminated. So if I fly close to the tree, it's going to come to a stop, just like so. So I can't even push the drone any further, right? It's actually gonna make its way over and around the tree. So that was actually a bad example because there was nothing firm in front of it. I don't think I was hitting the tree correctly. So let's go here. We'll kind of fly around this sidewalk over to this spire. This restaurant is never usually that busy. We'll go down and fly towards this spire, right? And again, we'll dive down. And look, you can dive down even pretty quick in normal mode. We'll dive down here. We'll go and push ourselves towards the, ooh, that's a B. We'll go ahead and push ourselves towards here. It starts beeping and is not going to let me go any further now. It's illuminated in red. So you've got true omnidirectional obstacle avoidance. As I spin around here, you'll notice that the drone is capturing that obstacle no matter which way I spin. It's got that red mark. So yeah, even though this is a mid-tier drone from DJI, they've included features that even outperform their highest class foldable drone, which is super impressive. Again, if we're in sport mode, we fly directly towards ourselves. We can go ahead and lift that drone up at almost 18 miles an hour, which is insane. Like if you listen to the drone right now, it's screaming in a good way. It's actually not too loud, but you can just hear that the motors are under a ton of stress because you're making it go forwards and upwards as fast as possible. And again, if you want to do something like catch up to a jet ski or something, you could go and dive down so fast, like 22 miles an hour. If you just look at it, it doesn't look right, but that's a good thing. Now, before we get into the second part of this flight, a quick word from this video sponsor, Aura. Aura is an all-in-one digital tool that helps you keep track of your online footprint. Their intelligent dashboard gives you the ability to manage your passwords, activate a VPN, and even check your credit score. Their service also protects you from financial fraud, identity theft, spam calls, and computer viruses. One of my favorite features is the password manager, so that I can keep all of my accounts secure from unwanted access. It helps me remember what passwords go with which account and scans the internet to make sure none of my passwords have been compromised. With Aura working in the background, it's nice to know that they do the dirty work for me, submitting opt-out requests to data brokers that expose your information to spam callers and other third parties. Think about how many different services that you would need to combine to get this level of protection. Aura's easy-to-use platform allows you to protect yourself from all of those unwanted threats for one low monthly cost. Having everything in one spot also makes it very easy to manage your data with ease. So a big thanks to Aura for sponsoring this video and helping me keep my digital life safe and secure. Okay, so now moving into part 2 of this video, and that is the camera. They have completely upgraded the camera system here on the Air 3, just like the airframe itself. So again, we've got an entirely new drone here. Now, before we get into the camera, I just want to point out the battery life. We've just been ripping like crazy up and down the river. We've only drained about 24% off of that battery, and our estimated remaining flight time is 32 minutes with 75% battery remaining. The flight time in this drone is out of this world. It's almost to a point where when I'm flying the drone, I feel like I'm almost bored at a specific spot and I would need to land and then move on to the next location. So for me, I mean, the flight time is great. You've got about 46 minutes of advertised flight time. Real world, you'll probably get anywhere between 35 to 40 minutes, depending on how you're flying, but the flight time on this drone is great. I can knock out a couple of jobs, real estate and construction shoots in the day, just because the flight time is so good, and I can do a couple of those jobs on one battery. Okay, so I now want to discuss the camera. So right now, we're shooting on the wide camera, or the, I guess, main sensor, if you will. Both of the cameras have the same sensor, but this gives you a 24mm focal length. So this is what we're used to on a drone, right? Like if we go and spin around and let's say we look at ourselves on this parking garage, we're used to this sort of wide angle look. This is like what the human eyes see at 24mm. So it's very natural. But if we go and we stop recording and we flip over to our 3x camera and then begin recording, We now have a 70mm focal length built into this drone. It's its own separate focal length, so this is not digital zoom. This is optical zoom in a sense, giving you the full resolution of the sensor, of the camera. So now we can go and say, spin around, fly up nice and high. The gimbal also gets a little bit dampened when you're zoomed in, but we can go fly up nice and high and look over at the Philadelphia skyline, right? So now we have this beautiful view that we really wouldn't be able to get with the 24mm camera, because if we did, the skyline would look like it's super far away. So not only does this give you the ability to be able to see things that are further away, but it gives you a further level of compression, right? So I've shown this in previous videos. When you use the 70mm focal length, it compresses your image, bringing that background closer to the foreground. And in my opinion, in a couple of shots that I've been able to show throughout my videos, it actually makes it look better. So for example, if we go down and look at the traffic here, and I mean, I don't know who in their right mind would think that going and capturing video of Interstate 76 here would be this beautiful cinematic masterpiece. But if we came down here, I'm now able to stay further away from those wires, right? I can dip my drone down just a little bit to stay further away from those trees. And as I move down, we can see those cars nice and clear with this camera, because let's see, we'll track this truck, because we have that 70mm focal length. So whenever I'm doing tracking shots, I love using this focal length because it gives me the ability to really isolate the subject that I'm shooting or that I'm capturing, following. We're flying right above us now, right? And this is great, but like if I go and I'll stop recording real quick, I'll keep tracking, and if I flip over to the 1X, right, and I start recording again, I just feel like I'm so far, right? Like if I wanted to get that similar shot, I'd need to get closer. I need to potentially worry about crashing into those power lines, right? And overall, the shot just doesn't look as good. So it's nice to have both of these cameras. You see that as I'm just shooting this dumb video right here, I can flip back and forth between both of the cameras depending on what my shot calls for. So it's nice to have both those cameras on call whenever I need them. Now here's one thing I will say that's a little bit annoying. Right now I've got a ND32 filter on there, and with the main camera, the 1X camera, having a 1.7 aperture, it's different than the other 70mm medium tele camera having an f2.8 aperture. So when I put on a ND filter, I've got to kind of compensate between both of the cameras in order to make sure that my exposure is right. So while I might be shooting at 100 ISO when capturing video with, say, my main 1X camera, I might need to shoot at 200 ISO in order to offset for the aperture difference. So while it's nice to have the lower aperture, it is kind of annoying that they're different. So just something to point out. Now we do have a little bit of digital zoom built in here, so I will go ahead, stop recording. I'll jump back over to the 3X camera. I'll begin recording again. And if you use the back wheel on your controller here on the RC2, I could go ahead and digitally zoom in up to 9X. Now we do have a quad bay or 48 megapixel sensor on here, so I would say that this digital zoom is probably sharper than most, but in my opinion, it's not the best. I don't usually use the 9X unless I'm like trying to find something. Like I might be using this for reconnaissance and might be scouting out some different places that I want to capture photos and videos from, and I might use this to zoom in and check things out, but most of the time I am zoomed way out at 3X because you get the full readout of the sensor. Now, we usually do a reveal up and over of Manioc here right behind us. So why don't we spin around? By the way, I'm just shooting in automatic camera settings because makes this easier as I'm just kind of doing my very first flight, talking to you guys through the camera. So let's go ahead, we'll dive down. We can dive down at 13 miles an hour while flying in normal mode, which is pretty good. But let's go ahead and we'll do two different reveal shots of Manioc here. First with the 3X camera and then with the 1X camera. So you'll notice that as I come down over the river here, right? Let's see, what does underneath me look like? All right, it's all water. So we'll come down a little bit more. And if we go from here and do a nice reveal shot up and over the trees, you have all this compression bringing the houses in the background closer. You can see the towers in the back a little bit closer. You can see the tower right here on the right from the church is right there in the shot. You've got the cars down below, right? Everything about this just looks so great in my opinion. Now, if we go ahead, we'll fly backwards. We'll stop this recording. We'll go hit the 1X camera. Begin recording again. Sorry for all the black frames. I know that we're switching around here. I mean, this frame just looks entirely different, right? Now, granted, in my opinion, there might be some benefits to this. Like we can now see more of the river and more of the traffic over there on the left side. But if my main goal was to really focus on Manioc and the neighborhood here, I'd be wanting to use that 70mm camera. So let's go ahead. We'll dive down a little bit. We'll go ahead and pick up, fly up and over the trees. You got some nice clouds rolling through. I mean, there's nothing wrong with this shot, right? But in my opinion, that reveal shot with the 3X camera just looks so much better. Yeah, This still looks nice though. Couldn't complain about it. All right, let's go ahead. We'll spin around here. So this drone, in my opinion, the Air 3 is going to be the drone to get. Ever since I got this drone, I really haven't been flying my Mavic 3 Pro all that much, really, if any. The main reason I've been flying my Mavic 3 Pro is just get a sense of how that drone stacks up against the Air 3. This drone is just such a beast, again, flying at 47 miles an hour. If we want to rip up, we can go ahead and fly up at 18 miles an hour. We can quickly divert and fly downwards at 22 miles an hour. I don't want to slam into those trees, but yeah. So this drone all around is just so great. Again, I've already uploaded a lot of videos on the Air 3 on my channel, kind of diving into more niche topics like range, like remote controllers, like active track. So if you want to check out any of those videos, I'll leave them linked down in the description in the playlist. But really, guys, I think that the Air 3 is going to be the drone to get. It's priced right, and I think that for what it offers, it really kind of makes you think, like, do I need to spend the extra money to get the Mavic 3 or the Mavic 3 Pro when the Air 3 does a lot of what that drone can already do? Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked the video, be sure to leave it a like and let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. And as always, I'll talk to you later. Peace.